Welcome to Loving the Time of Hydra, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 10th Anniversary podcast. It is May 12th today. Today is May 12th. And we are going to take you back in time 10 years. See You Again was still the #1 song, and Avengers Age of Ultron was still the #1 movie at the domestic box office. Verizon bought AOL for $4.4 billion. Rami Malek turned 34, Tony Hawk turned 47, Ving Rhames turned 56, and well-known S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Emily Van Camp turned 29. But the most important thing that happened on this day 10 years ago was the debut of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2 finale, S.O.S. Part 1 and S.O.S. Part 2 aired on ABC at 9/8 Central. Hello, I'm Jamie Jarek, and I'm here with my co-host, boyfriend, and level 2, but not for long, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan Tony Paletto. Hey, Tony.
Hi, Jamie. I hadn't even considered the fact that I was going to get a new badge soon, get upgraded.
You're leveling up real soon. I'm very excited for our guest today. She was last here in season 1 talking about repairs, so it's been a long time. You probably know her from her extensive D&D coverage. Caitlin Tyrrell is in the house.
Hi.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being back. I love your background. You've really upgraded, I think, since you were here last.
I think I had this last time.
Is it the same thing?
Really?
Well, I don't know.
It's a D&D ass background. I know that.
Caitlin, I want to know before we get into it, what was it like jumping into this point? Because we're picking up right where the last episode left off. Were you confused? Did you know what the fuck was going on?
Here's the thing. I did watch it when it came out. And it was more of like when it started, I was like, oh, this is where we are. Cool. Got it. Great. Like that was very much more my feeling. It was not what is happening. It was, oh, we're at this point. Got it.
Yeah. we threw you into the deep end, but I knew that you could handle it because you have seen it. I want to shout out to the chat. In case you missed it, we decided we're only covering part 1 today because a lot happens. I didn't really want to ask a guest to be on for a 2-hour episode. Thought it'd be more fun to break it up. So that means, chat, Tony has not seen part 2 yet. So we're only talking part 1 in for a spoiler zone. You know the rules. Tony, just in case though, remind them.
Don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me or anybody else, right? Spoiler alert in your comments, and that way people who are like me watching this for the first time can experience it all fresh and new. No Marvel spoils in the basement, as they said in Tim Robinson's new movie Friendship.
Go see Friendship. It's incredible. It's the hardest I've laughed in a long time. Just so we're covering SOS Part 2 on Sunday, May 18th. Don't have the exact time yet. Probably 1 o'clock, but we don't know for sure. So keep an eye out on Instagram. SOS Part 1 was written by our boy Jeffrey Bell, directed by Vincent Mistiano. 2 names you've heard many times before. All our main players are back. Rip to our girl Raina. Oh, so tragic, so sad. Tony, how are you feeling?
I mean, it's not necessarily tragic or sad. I don't like Raina. She had it coming. She's like she's been cooking towards getting stabbed in the neck by somebody. So I don't mourn Raina, but I am just we all know I hate Ward the most, but I really don't like Chai Ying. So we're going to talk about that.
Oh, Caitlin, how do you feel about this one?
I will say this for Raina because she is annoying. Noble sacrifice moment. She's like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. At least this will help like get everything kind of situated where it needs to go. She didn't fight it that much, which I was not necessarily impressed by, but like, oh, all right, we're not gonna try and escape this. Okay, that works, I guess. I've felt bad for her since she became like a prickly person because she's like, I feel every single time I move pain. I'm like, ooh, that sucks, but that's about it.
Fair, yeah. Well, we'll get even deeper into the Raina thing later, because the thing is, yeah, Raina's not a nice person, but I love her. I love Ruth Negga's performance. I love everything about her, and it is sad to see her go. And I remember the first time I watched this, like, genuinely being shocked. I didn't see it coming. This episode is great. It's interesting to stop it. I'm glad we did it that way, but it is like it does feel like we only watched half of an episode. I don't know. Yeah, Tony, you felt that way too.
I did. But I mean, there's definitely enough to talk about to cover a podcast episode. But yeah, sure. Even the previous episode where it ended was, we're in the tail end. We're in cliffhangers territory here, so that's how it's going to be.
And we picked up right where we left off. Jiaying lies that Gonzalez said all Inhumans need to be terminated. They steal a Quinjet. A funny thing that about this episode that I want to talk to you both about is how many like red shirts there are on both sides. Like we are seeing so many Shield agents and so many Inhumans that we've never seen before. I'm like, who the fuck is on the Quinjet?
Yeah.
It's a war, so you got to have some pawns out there. Did you have any thoughts about this, Caitlin? Were you like, who's that guy?
I mean, I'll be really honest. I've watched so much TV that whenever there's like a red shirt, I'm like, yeah, right. Like it doesn't faze me anymore. It was more of like, oh, those are cool powers for 10 seconds that we're never going to discuss again. Okay. Like that was more my feelings on it. But you do have a good point of like, who are these people? Why should we care that they keep getting captured or killed?
We did get Beard Guy back. Beard Guy from last week. Yeah. And like now, instead of Beard Guy, now I'm going to call him Orson Welles because he kind of looks like Orson Welles. Dude, and I'm like, he's so prominent all of a sudden. He was here last week. Like, I don't know this character's name. I've seen this 10 fucking times. I'm like, who's this man?
Agreed. He does just kind of like, not only is he just suddenly visible, he's visible and has authority. So it's like, I guess you're important. The show's telling me you're important. I'm just going to have to go along with this.
I want to say, Jiaying, I get so mad when she says to Sky, why would you let them do this to us?
This is what I'm talking about. She's killing me because her performance, and this is, it's grating in the correct way. Like I'm crawling out of my skin. Her performance as a victim in this episode is a bad victim performance. But everybody is so caught up in the intensity of what's going on that they cannot see it for what it is. So we are made to suffer with this bad acting of being like, oh, he shot me twice. Oh, and oh, I'm in so much pain. And how could you do this? And just like, and even when Sky discovers her killing Raina, Jiaying turns around and just immediately puts on this breathy like bullshit, and I'm just like, you're killing me. She's driving me nuts.
Okay, quick question for you, Tony. Jiaying the character, a better or worse actor than Angie from Agent Carter?
Oh God. Oh God. This is so hard. That is a really tough one.
Think on it. And chat, if you don't know what we're talking about, you should be in our Patreon.
Yeah.
Keep this in mind. Jiaying's been like around longer, so she should be better at it.
You're right. Fair. You know what? That is what tips it. It's Jiaying is worse. Jiaying is absolutely worse. There's less impetus put on the convincingness of performance, but she should be better at playing a victim than she is, I think.
Fair. Caitlin, how do you feel about Lincoln? Because he's kind of being an asshole. I don't like Lincoln anyway, but like he's being such an asshole.
I mean, I think the most interesting thing for me personally watching this now versus like when I watched it 10 years ago is just like how much I've like learned and grown like as a person, but also just as like a TV watcher and like story consumer. Because I've been living a lot in the world of The Last of Us for the last couple of weeks. And to me, one of the most interesting parts of this was seeing the negative effects on trauma on people. Because like Jiaying, Lincoln, Sky's dad, even like the Shield agents that came and overtook the base and are kind of like now sort of helping to run it because Coulson seems like, well, there's like 6 of us. What are we gonna do? It's just so interesting to me that they're all making such poor decisions based on their own trauma and their like desire to not go through it again. Because to me, that was I think the most interesting piece. Because like with Lincoln, he's like, well, of course I don't trust people and I don't trust authority. I've gone through terrible situations with them. So like, yeah, he's being a jerk to Sky, but you also have to think about it from the perspective of this is someone that was brought in. They were learning to trust. He especially was like really starting to trust her. And then from his perspective, she flipped and was like, well, I brought these people in to try and help for some reason. Like we're all like, oh, you brought in the federal government to help? Weird choice. And then it all went wrong. And the one person he does trust most is like, they tried to kill me and I told you they were bad. So to me, it's like, yeah, he's kind of being a jerk to Sky, but you also have to think about it. Like these guys have no reason to trust S.H.I.E.L.D. Like they have no reason to trust S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that's the other piece that's so interesting to me that I'll talk about like when we're talking about some other stuff in a minute. It's just like, I feel like the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents have really lost their way in a sense too, because to me, it's like, if S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing what they're supposed to do, they're a shield, right? That's their point. So technically speaking, they should be seeing themselves as Secret Service agents for the world. So they should always be in protector mode. And here, they're really not. Like, you have Gonzalez trying to be like, hey, I want to like negotiate a treaty. And it's like, why? They've been in hiding. Leave them alone. They're not doing anything. I'm almost curious if Jiaying like would have put this plan in action had S.H.I.E.L.D. not like done anything. She probably would have still wanted to do something, but it's like, if you didn't give her the opportunity, what was she going to do?
Yeah.
I think you're totally
they
right.
have to take it. I want to hear what you have to say, Jamie, too. But like, they're also not entirely sure whether or not the people are a threat or not. And it's like, yeah, no, I don't think they should be put on a list, but they're trying to assess a potential threat. So their whole protect everyone thing can't really go into effect unless they know they are protecting everybody by leaving them alone. So it's a double-edged sword. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I really like Caitlin's point about the trauma, because it's hard to, this is not a black and white situation, and you do understand where everyone's coming from, and I respect that. I want to shout out a couple of comments. First, Stick in the comments, I'm a heavy Lincoln defender. I don't care what Jamie says. Respect. I like a disagreement, and I like that. I don't want everyone to have haters all the time. Some people should be liked. I appreciate that. And then Alice clocked that we've got some kittens. Tony and I have 2 kittens now, so you might see them in the stream sometimes. Papagino and Loretta, welcome to the family cats. Tony, how did you feel about, we find out that Jiaying heals herself by sucking the life out of other people?
Yeah, pretty dark. Comes at a good time in learning that she's a bad lady, that, okay, she needs to survive on human sustenance in order to live. It's like, that's pretty villainous. That's pretty dark. But yeah, pretty crazy.
I think my question is that, sorry to interrupt. I think my question is, can you be a good person if that's your power? Like, to me, it's almost a chicken and egg thing, because it's like, if your ability to heal is you essentially have to like kill people, your only way to be a good person out of that is just to be like, well, I'm not going to use it ever. That's how I be a person. Like, if that's my power, I'm like, I'm shutting down my emotions and becoming a sociopath. Otherwise, I'm going.
Yeah. I took it as, I could be wrong. Chat, correct me. I mean, in my mind, she doesn't have to do that to heal. She does it to heal fast, to heal faster. That's how I think that if she was patient, she would heal without having to suck somebody's life, which is worse. I think, to Caitlin's point. And again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the situation. Meanwhile, let's see. We can't find Bobby. Where's Bobby? Karen Ward, or just like, so we find out that Bobby kind of sold out Kara unintentionally. She gave Hydra the location of a safe house, didn't know if somebody would be there, took a risk with it. Caitlin, how on like a scale, how ridiculous is Kara for being mad about this? Like, should she be a little mad, or is she overreacting?
So honestly, this is the thing that made me think Secret Service in a way when I was first watching, because I'm like, hey, that sucks. It's your job. Like, it totally sucks, but it's your job. Like, I can understand her being mad, 100%. I too would be pissed, but I'd also be like, retribution via torture is not the correct response. Like, it sucks that this happened to you, but your entire organization essentially imploded. And then you went to a safe house? What are you, crazy? Why would you do that?
That's a good point. It ain't
safe not so more. Safe, that house. And also got to give her the point of that, like, she's been subject to the irresistible charm and of Grant Ward, the seductive, thoughtful, irresistible qualities that he possesses are just, you can't elude those. Fuck Ward.
I hate him
so much. Yeah, I love to hate him though. It's different. Like the way I hate Ward is so different from the way I hate Lincoln, because like I enjoy hating. Like, I like watching Ward frustrate me. Lincoln frustrates me because he's just vanilla. Defrosted Robot in the comments reminded me that we are going to get a little more information on Jiaying's power sucking situation next episode. So we'll get to that later. The team is figuring everything out quickly. Were you surprised by this, Tony? That like how quickly Colton like pieced everything together? What was happening in Afterlife? What was happening with Bobby? How do you feel about that?
I know he's smart dude. He knows what he's doing. Like, and to the same point, like, you know, Gonzalez wouldn't do that. Like, yeah, I understand we're all really mad at Gonzalez, but even if Gonzalez was going to do some sort of betrayal, it's sloppy. And I like that he knows Gonzalez is not going to do something sloppy. So yeah, he's just ahead of the curve. I was not surprised that they figured it out so quickly, and I was also, you know, gracious. We'll talk more about it of the fact that we weren't keeping Sky in this limbo of allegiance any longer. I'm glad we kind of tied the knot on that, thanks to Raina's sacrifice.
Agreed. So back to the Bobby situation. This torture method is like really crazy. He drugs her, puts needles under. Okay, who here hates nail shit? Like that's Caitlin. Were you like closing your eyes?
I skipped it.
Nah.
I just fast forward. I was like, I've seen this. I'm fine. It got
me thinking though, because
network TV. This is crazy.
I know it is one of the grosser things we've seen on this show. He talks about like he drugs her so that when like the anesthetic wears off, the pain will be worse. And it got me thinking: is that what's happening when I use numbing cream on my tattoo?
I thought the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't know, Jamie's crazy tattooed.
I didn't use numbing cream until I hit my 30s. Like I earned the right. I have many tattoos I got, but I was thinking about my most recent on my side, my jackass tattoo that hurt so fucking bad. But the first hour was easy, and the rest was the most pain I've ever felt in my life. And I'm like, maybe this numbing cream thing. Like I'm watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, maybe I'm taking a lesson in life from this torture scene. I once told Tony that I think that I would do okay under pressure because of tattoos, and he goes, Jamie. I was like, you're right. I probably wouldn't do well being tortured, but
yeah, I think nails under the fingernails feels a little different than a tattoo.
Fair. Okay, Caitlin, did your eyes roll back into your head and get stuck when Kara's like, he told me about the dog, he told me about his abusive family, like the Ward history again?
Here's the thing. I mostly just feel bad for Kara.
Yeah.
Because this is just someone who has been grossly manipulated so long. Because we don't know anything about her before like Hydra brainwashed her. Like, other than everyone's like, oh, she was a good agent. You're like, okay, great. So, like, to me, it's this thing of, like, everything she trusted got swiped from under her feet when she got grabbed from the safe house. She got brainwashed and manipulated. Her face got completely messed up. And then this guy came in and was like, I'm going to save you. And his essentially taught her not to cope correctly and just blame everyone else for their issues. So her being, like, all smitten and like starry-eyed about everything with him, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. I don't necessarily roll my eyes. I'm more just like, oh babe, you gotta get out of this. It's that situation when you know someone that's in like a really toxic relationship or environment in general, and you're just like, you gotta see that's bad. Like, you have to recognize this is bad. What, like, you're a smart person, what's going on? That's more of, I think, how I feel with her. It's less of like rolling my eyes. Like, I roll my eyes more when like Ward talks, where he's like, oh, I've had it so hard, and blah. I'm like, shut up. Like, yeah, your parents sucked and your brothers were mean. Get over.
Your impression of Ward sounded like the gingerbread man from Shrek. Which I really liked. That was funny. So, you know, Colton's trying to like form a plan. He doesn't want to attack, respect. And then we have to talk about Cal in this cell with his blanket and like Kyle MacLachlan, man. Like, I just has there ever been anyone better? Tony, you were really enjoying this scene. I can tell.
I mean, yeah, he's just like Kyle MacLachlan over the course of this whole show has been very, very strange and like playing for the fucking back row at all times. And it's going to the tip top. It's going as high as you can go, to the point where honestly, I think we'll talk about his transformation. I feel like it went a little too far performance-wise. I feel like it got a little too goofy at the end of this episode, personally. But
okay,
I
don't
love
agree, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll put a pin in it and we'll talk about it. We learned what's in his mixture, which is like we got like gorilla blood, peppermint.
Yeah.
I didn't write down the ingredients.
Gorilla testosterone.
Oh, right.
Right.
Okay. Of course. Makes sense. Let's see, where was I here? I love when he asked for the water and he pours it all over himself.
That was a great bit.
What a freak. I love him. Okay, so then we have the Raina and Jiang scene, which in my head I was remembering it being like the end of the episode, so I was like, oh, this is happening already. So like let's get into it. She gives such a good speech. Jiang kills her, Sky sees it. I think this is just a perfect ending for Raina. It's so full circle because this is what she always wanted, and I respect that she gives into it. She says, I thought about killing you. But I don't know. We've all talked about it a little bit already, but Tony, did you have any more thoughts just on her journey throughout this entire show?
I agree that it's full circle. Yeah. But like, I don't know. For me, in terms of like missing the character, I'm not feeling that. Like, I loved it doesn't feel the same. I prefer the Ruth Nega without the prosthetic makeup. Like, I love to just watch her.
Because she's hot.
Because she's hot. No, because she's hot, and because you get to see the nuances of her work. You just get a little bit less of that with the makeup. So I kind of feel like her becoming Spiky Lady was the beginning of the end already. So I didn't really feel a great loss. I kind of already said goodbye to her in a sense, because she's been more or less doomed since then.
I understand. Caitlin, any other thoughts on this? I know you talked a little already about it.
I miss her eyes. Like, to Tony's point about acting, she's very good with her eyes. And that's like gone. Like, you don't see that really at all here. No, to me, Raina's just a really tragic character. Like, it's this thing of like her grandmother told her all these stories. She's been searching for a way to connect for so long. She got lied to. She finally thought she found it. And then it was one of those monkey paw moments of careful what you wish for. And it's just like such a tragedy to me, where it's just like, I think the thing that's so interesting to me with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is it's so underestimated in my opinion, because people look at it at very surface level and they're like, oh, especially like the first season, they're like, oh, it's silly. It's like, these are all really messed up characters. Like, if you made this a cable show, these would be extremely messed up characters. So for me with Raina, it's just like, yeah, it felt like a fitting end, because it was like you got brought into this because you were looking for what was it, the clairvoyant in the first season. You essentially became the clairvoyant and finally recognized, like, this is my part. This is what I have to do to like make sure the future is what it's supposed to be. But yeah, I don't know. It's a character that, like you said, Tony, I miss like actually seeing her be able to like fully get into the performance. And so when she was gone, it was like, I was more sad for her and like missing the performance than sad as in like, I'm never seeing this character again. Oh no.
Fair. With them, we get this amazing Bobby scene. Like, Bobby's fucking like awesome. First, I love when she calls Ward out exactly what he does. He's a coward who always has an excuse or someone else to blame. That's him to a T. And then this fight is incredible, because she's already in so much pain and she's kicking both of their asses. She kicks him through a fucking window. Tony, I think you thought in this moment she was gonna kill Ward.
Oh, she was so close. She got the fucking needles in it right by it. Oh, she was so close. And like, Ward, he's capable, man. He got out of there. I was rooting so hard for that escape and near assassination of that prick. Bobby crushes. That's a great fight too. You said it. Like, top 5 hand-to-hands we've seen, I think, in this show so far.
Easy, but he really fucks up her knee. Did that make you cringe?
Yeah.
As a former player, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Right.
So meanwhile, the Inhumans come on the boat. Mac hears them. They now have Sky because some random guy knocked her out. And then then Cal starts to flatline. Coulson gets Fitzsimmons. I really enjoy Coulson and Fitzsimmons versus Cal, and this is where it happens. He finally turns into Mr. Hyde, and so I want to pull up Maria a picture of Mr. Hyde in the comics, because we've known all season who he was going to be, and it's like, and I think that he does a really good job of capturing the essence of the comic character, which is a little silly. To Tony's point earlier, saying he was maybe a bit much, but I know, like, I at this point wasn't much of a comics reader, so I wasn't really expecting. I didn't know what to expect, but most people knew he was Mr. Hyde like months ago. So waiting for this, I think a lot of people enjoyed the payoff, but Tony, you didn't love it.
I had no idea he was going to be Mr. Hyde. How was I supposed to know that?
Exactly. If Brett Manis over here back 10 years ago, he knew it was coming, but we're not all experts like that.
Yeah. It was like, it's not bad or anything. The physical transformation is kind of like, what, why? Because he's just, going into that next level, and now he looks more monstrous, and I didn't really understand why he physically changed. And then it was as though McLaughlin, in reasonable performance choice, had to go bigger due to the transformation. So it was like he kind of went beyond goofy scary and was just kind of goofy. So it didn't really I was loving it. Like we were, once it crested into Hyde, I guess, is when it just lost me a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I love the chat's really defending it in some funny ways. Defrosted robot, because it's of science, Tony. And then Alice agrees, it's science. And
I did forget science. My bad, guys. I forgot
just
science.
A silly little guy.
It's not. They're not wrong.
Yeah. Appreciate all of that. Okay, so did you have any Hyde thoughts, Caitlin?
It was hilarious that it didn't occur to him to use adrenaline to get everything to work.
I thought it was intentional. I thought that was by design. Like he was like, they put all this shit into him, and then they just needed the last ingredient. And like, I thought he knew. I thought it was all a plan. So when he was surprised, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that didn't occur to him, like, that's every science experiment ever. Is like, you got to do a thing that makes it all like start. And it's usually adrenaline for people.
And steroids. It's like steroids and adrenaline. And of course, gorilla testosterone. We all use it. So those are the big three.
There was the moment where I thought he was like watering himself like a plant. Like it was the water that would turn him into. That's why he dumped it on himself.
One of those dinosaur things.
Yes. That's great.
So Kara and Ward are like not impressed with Bobby's inability to turn around and admit that she did anything wrong, because she didn't. So they decide to they're gonna trap Hunter. And I think it's like so funny when May and Hunter are going to find Bobby, and May's like, this could be a trap, and Hunter goes, most of my marriage to Bobby felt like a trap. Like that's like, okay, we get it. Like they're always like going on about that, but this was the one line too far where I'm like, we get it. You had a tumultuous marriage. You're gonna get your.
I've just rolled my eyes at everything Hunter has said ever. Like the second we meet Bobby and you're like, this is who you complain about? Shut up.
It's like how every gay man we've ever had on the pod, like it's Ward. I believe that a woman who's like, I'm not attracted to men would have nothing to do with Hunter.
That's right.
He's pretty on point.
He's so whiny. Like, I enjoyed him being nice to Fitz and stuff, but he's so whiny about Bobby. I'm like, we get it. You want to kiss her again. Relax.
Fair. And Ward basically sets up a fucking Saw trap for this man. It's it is Saw level what he's doing here. It's pretty scary. And Bobby's beat to shit. I'm just like, I'm so worried about my girl and now my boy.
Yeah, Bobby's beat to shit, but so is Ward. I really enjoyed looking at his fucked up face, like all bloodied and bruised. That was nice to have.
Mm-hmm. Fair. And then really cool. We're setting up something with fucking Mac here. He's like got his axe and he's all suited up. Tony, how are you feeling about last week he was full on quitting and now he's like fucking Rambo down here? What are your thoughts on Mac right now?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really feel like we were done with Mac, but I am glad that he's was like on his way out the door, so to speak, before getting pulled back in. I thought maybe we'd have to wait a couple episodes or next season or something before we got a return of Mac. Yeah, him down there with an axe is no joke. But he's also, I mean, he's dealing with some Inhumans, so it's I don't know what he's gonna do, but I'm relieved that he's still in the fold.
I'm Caitlin. I want to hear your thoughts on Mac, but first we're going to take a quick 30-second break, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Love the Time of Hydra. We are here with our friend Caitlin talking S.O.S. Part 1. Talking about how, as Defrosted Robot in the comments put it, Mac is in his Die Hard era. Let's go. Caitlin, how are you feeling about Mac at this point?
I mean, in D&D terms, this dude's a tank. You're not going to go into war and not have a tank. Like, it's really as simple as that to me, where it's like, Mac's leaving. No, he's not. No, he's not. There's about to be a big fight. This guy is a truck.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, so we're seeing some like new Inhumans, and we saw her briefly in the last episode, but this is the first time we see her power. I believe her name is Alicia, Tony, the redhead who basically can multiply herself. That I really like that power because it's not something you see a lot, and there's a lot of thought, I think, about a character like that. What did you think?
I thought that was really cool. She's really beautiful too, and it was really cool to see it happen. And then the thing that I thought was most interesting was, she said, follow us to Mac, and then split up into 5 people, and then she turned and gave herself a nod as like spread out. And I find it really interesting that she interacts with them independently of her own mind. Like they are separate entities that take commands. That's odd. I would think that it would be automatic, like they just behave as you do or want. But she gave an order, and I just thought that was neat.
Some fun facts that I actually didn't know in the comments. Jonathan McIntosh, Defrosted Robot says that she's actually Adrian's stunt double, which is cool that she got to come in and do some more stuff, kind of like our boy Gio. I have some thoughts on Alicia that I'll save for Tony leaving the room. But Caitlin, did you have anything to add before we move on to the next thing?
Kind of like you sparked something when you said that, Tony. I think I kind of would have assumed like it just all is working at the same time. They're not separate entities, but it also makes sense that they are, because can you imagine being in 6 fights at once and trying to actually coordinate that? That sounds like hell.
Yeah.
True.
Good point.
No, I just think it's a really cool power. Like, I love when she's like walking and it's like, we've taken this floor or whatever. And it's just a cool power that I'm like, I wish we saw more of this in like different situations, like different superhero shows and movies and stuff. 'Cause it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would have watched like a whole Alicia spinoff. It makes me so sad that like the Inhumans have taken over the boat so easily, because like we watched that flashback episode of how the boat basically like won when Hydra tried to take over. And like I feel bad for Mac too. Like he's back in the same situation on this boat, but now like it's worse. And then Giant has all those crystals. What's she gonna do, Tony? What's she gonna do with all those crystals?
Oh gosh, let me tell you, I have no idea.
Just gonna pop them like Tic Tacs.
Yeah. And then we get Fitzsimmons running from Cal so that Coulson can run him over and pin him. And while I was watching this, I was like, I know that they're setting up a trap, but it was very like a Scooby-Doo moment. Like, did you feel that, Tony? Where like Fitzsimmons were like, ooh, run, zoink, zoink, and then
zoink, zoink. Yeah, that was what they were saying. I did think that. I also like immediately knew it was a trap. So their frantic running it did evoke a Scooby-Doo moment. We're gonna pull the mask off in a minute.
Mm-hmm. Caitlin, did you have any thoughts about this little moment?
I love the whole sequence. I love when it's like, let's shoot him with icers. That might just make him mad. Yeah. Shoot him with a gun. Like, you don't have to kill him. Shoot him with a gun. So I like the fact that they're like, because it's also like, of course we're into a trap, but it's also like, even if there's no trap, what's your plan? You just shot this dude with icers and you don't have guns. Like, where are you going?
Right. I do. You know, this is what Coulson does. He takes it to the brink. He's gonna try not to kill this guy because it's important to Skye. You know, that would, he's still her father. It's important to her. So I always appreciate when he's taking the big swing for the right cause, and I hope it pays off.
Yeah, I do like down to it. Coulson always cares about Skye so much, and like he doesn't want to kill her dad, and I respect that. And there's no post credit scene again. That's what can you do? Caitlin, is there anything else that happened in this episode that you wanted to bring up that I didn't tee you up for?
No, I mean, like, I think Skye's dad is also just a really tragic character because, like, I don't disagree that his performance felt kind of over the top by the end, but I'm also just like, this dude's so broken. Like, all he wants is his family, and it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure he forever dreamed, like, well, when I find Skye and when I get Jiaying back, it'll all go back to how it was. And you're like, when Skye was like a baby, no, like that dream was always doomed. So it's just, again, it's one of those things where it's like, it felt over the top with his performance, but to me, it's also just like, I think his brain is like starting to unravel to such a degree where it's like, he's finally, maybe even subconsciously starting to recognize that like everything he hoped for is gone. Even when he was at the compound and he was like, I'll leave, I'll go. I want one dinner with you guys. And then for you guys to be happy and I'll go and I will accomplish my goal. And that didn't work. And now S.H.I.E.L.D. is in it again. And you got Coulson again, who he sees as like this guy that's come in to replace him. Like, to me, it's just like, this guy's so gone. He's so gone. And all he wants is for his family to be happy. And now he's like, well, if that's not possible, I'm going to burn down everything that could make them upset. So
to me, the tragedy is even more amplified in this episode when he says something to the effect of, I do what she asks. That's why she loves me. And so, like, not only is he not getting what he wants, every action he's doing is not really his own design. He's a pawn in Jiaying's. Pawn may be not really a fair word, but he's a tool for Jiaying. And I think subconsciously he's beginning to feel a bit like a tool.
Yeah. And I think it's also Coulson clocking that, being like, you're not the real monster. Like, she's made it seem like you are, you're not. Like, I feel like there's so many pieces to, like, that to me is one of those moments where it's like, I don't think he really processed that, but I think that's working in his brain now, where he's like, am I not because I think he's blamed himself forever. He's like, well, it's my fault. Everything's my fault. Yeah. So I am the villain of this story. So, like, I think that's why he was okay with leaving. He didn't want to, but he was like, if you guys can have one dinner with me and then be happy and together, I'll accept this as my penance for everything I've done in the, like, my initial failure. And to them be like, hey, bro, she's been using you the whole time. She doesn't care. Yeah. It's like, his brain's like, I can't, like, it's that moment where your brain's like, hey, I can't process this right now. We're just going to fly by that. It's going to pop up later and be really bad. So to me, I think that is just, I'm like, this is one of those shows where it's like, it's so much deeper than you actually like recognize unless you really take the time to watch it and think about it and talk about it, because all these characters, they're so sad. Like, to me, one of the other parts that was really sad is looking at like Coulson's team at the end of season 1 versus how they are now. And it's just like Fitzsimmons to me is such a great example where it's like, these guys were so cute. They were like the adorable little kids on the plane. It was Fitzsimmons and Skye just goofing, being silly. And now they're so broken and they're so messed up. And you're just like, man, you couldn't protect them in any way. Even the one that used to be the teacher at the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy, she's so dark now. She's so dark. She's like, we got to kill all of them. And you're just like, wow, you went from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. You got to pull back. Like, this is the person who was like teaching people and helping people and training people that were often essentially college students. And now she's like, wipe them out, kill everything. Like, it's so sad to see that, like, de-evolution and see the morality of all these characters. Again, it's like, it's just the negative impacts of trauma when you don't actually like deal with anything and really face anything. Because I think a lot of the stuff with Sky's dad, it's like, if he'd actually just processed stuff and dealt with stuff, he could have found Sky and then like built a new relationship with her as an adult. Like, it sucks you missed all this time, but can you imagine if Sky had like found her dad and he was like, I've been searching for you forever. Like, we didn't want to lose you. You were taken from us. Like, that could have just totally changed both their stories. But instead, because of like their situation and because of who they're tied to, they're just so broken.
I do want to add with Cal, I think that's something that's sad, is like back in the 80s, I believe that Jiang loved Cal. Like, yes. I do think that they were like probably a solid couple, but I also, you know, with I think Whitehall, what he did to her fucked her up, made her an extremist, basically, which is understandable. And like, and now, you know, Cal is like, she, I think, has love for him, but at this point, she's so far gone too that
the pain won.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. I think it was Defrosted Robot in the comments who kind of compared Cal to Kara, which I like that comparison because sometimes, you know, you're just a little too far gone. Sometimes the trauma wins. Also, I want to shout out to the chat for just like having a huge debate about something that is completely irrelevant to this episode, just future shit, and I love that. That's why we're here, just to get the Shield fans together. We'll talk about what you're talking about in like 3 years. Caitlin, we do a thing that since you've been on last, where we pick an episode MVP. It can be literally an actor, it can be a character, it can be, you know, I always say a potted plant. It doesn't matter. But I will give you a second to think about it. Tony, who is your episode MVP?
Bobby,
hell yeah. All right. I was struggling with this one because like there are a lot of options. Like I kind of want to give it to Raina because of such a good closure for her story, but like I also feel like the true answer though is Bobby, because she really fucking kicks ass. So I'm gonna just like give it a tie because I can do what I want. It's my show. Caitlin, do you have it?
I definitely agree, Bobby, but I also think like strong points to Coulson. Points to Coulson because one of the things that was so funny to me is she's like, Gonzalez attacked me. I'm like, you got shot in the shoulder. This is like an experienced field agent. Like, that's clearly wrong.
Good point.
So just props to Coulson being like, hey, none of this adds up. We're not throwing Sky under the bus. We have to figure out what's actually going on. And props to Coulson for being like, oh, you're kind of like, you're definitely not a good guy to Cal, but there's something deeper going on. So while definitely Bobby for a lot, like I'd say like 80%, I also am like really props to Coulson. He did a really good job as like a director, but also like being not a great agent because he is going to follow his heart, which is like what Coulson does.
Yeah, that's nice to hear because I'm usually the one most rallying behind Coulson every episode for all of his good decision making and conscientiousness. So yeah, fuck yeah.
He's a good leader. Alex in the comments just reminded me we didn't talk about a huge in this episode, which is Sky fighting May. What a great that's also a great fight. And like sad and I want to go back to my notes because I wrote a lot of stuff about this fight, which is like first it's like nice try, bitch, Sky, like you can't take on May, but then it's like, oh, she drew blood and then she knocked her ass out. She's leveled up as with these powers. I love this fight and I can't believe I didn't bring it up. Tony, tell me some thoughts that you had watching it.
I didn't like this fight very much
really?
Because
why?
I just didn't think it was well choreographed, and I also didn't make any sense that Sky was going toe to toe with May on her level for so long. Considering the fact that she's, you know, I like the argument, I like the dialogue. I think it was a conflict that needed to happen. Story wise, I'm with it, but she's got quake powers, and it took her way too long to use them. You don't try to have a fist fight with May; she knows better. So I wasn't really crazy about the fight.
But I would say, I think in terms of when your powers are so new and you were trained to fight this way, maybe like it's not first nature yet. or second nature yet to use those powers, and maybe you don't want to use them on your mentor and friend. Caitlin, how do you feel about this argument?
Tony has a point, but I also don't know that May was going full force. Like, I think
No.
it's like to keep in mind, like, I think May is still in that mindset of like Sky's being manipulated. I'm not trying to like, it's someone that's like going like 30% that's sparring because the person they're fighting, they're like, to me, it's like that Yelena and Kate Bishop fight in Hawkeye. It's like, we all know Yelena could have like killed her in 2 seconds, but it was a very long fight scene because Yelena's like, this is fun and I don't actually want to hurt you. That to me was May in this situation. She's like, I'm not actually trying to hurt you. I think when Sky drew blood, that's when May was like, all right, I actually am just going to hit you now because that's not cool. And that's when the powers came in. I also wouldn't have minded seeing Sky use her powers less like just doing the quake to like knock her out, but like using her powers actively in the fight, like making it a thing where like the punch is stronger because the quake powers are a part of it. But yeah, I
we'll get to something like that.
I don't know. But no, I did like the fight scene, but Bobby fight scene's better.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I guess I just like more what it represents.
I do like what it represents.
Yeah. Okay, so a little history. It's interesting, Caitlin, because you brought this up earlier, talking about like if this show was run like cable and the differences of what it would be. And Jeffrey Bell, who wrote this episode, actually has a quote talking about like that exact thing. It's kind of wordy, but I'm going to read the whole thing. The challenge that we keep seeing is keeping it fresh so it doesn't feel like the same piece of story all season. You want to find a way to mix it up. If this was an HBO show, this would be season 4. And you could look back and go, well, the first season introduced these characters. The second season was more of a, Hydras and Shield. And the third one is Sky becoming a superhero. And then getting in the middle of the season, and now we're sort of getting into this Inhuman world. We've tried to make the flavoring different. We've tried to tell different stories with different combinations of the same people, so it doesn't feel like you're getting different versions of the same story every week. I like this a lot because, like, we talk about this all the time. Like, network TV is its own beast, and I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does an amazing job of filling 22 episodes.
They also do a really good job of balancing the procedural and serial aspect of this show, because the first season's very procedural and that, like, it's case of the week style, and then as we go on, like even in season 2 and then beyond, it moves beyond that. You have like this more serialized story going on where it's like, yeah, there's something that like this is a great example where it's like, you could not point at this and go, this is the case they're solving. It's like, no, this is an ongoing thing that was set up last episode and it's going to continue into next episode. So yeah, I think he makes a really good point. Like, this would be 4 seasons on like an HBO show, or even if it came out today, like a Disney Plus show, it would be probably the 4th. And
it would be 6 episodes. It's the same journey as Buffy, like where it was Monster of the Week for so long, and then it started to become the bigger arcs. And as the show, that's just how like network TV type shows evolve, and I love that. I like the Monster of the Week, but I also love the connectivity. I think it's that's television.
Yeah.
And of course, so Caitlin, this season, or at the end of the second half of the season, basically, there's been a new poster for each episode. So, Maria, if you could pull up this week's poster, this is by comic book artist Ryan Sook. I like that this is just like Fitzsimmons versus Hyde. It's very comic booky. It's kind of a campy cover. I love the shield heads in the top left corner.
Yeah.
Frequent guest of the show, Steve Hund, always says he wants to get a tattoo of, I think he wants the Guardians, though, similar, like the heads. I love that classic style. I really like this cover. Caitlin, what do you think of this one?
It's gorgeous. It's so funny that such a small moment that they went, this is the poster. This very tiny thing that happens real quick is the poster.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you think?
I think it's dope. It's one of my favorites we've seen, maybe my favorite, because I like the comic cover style. I like the wear and tear, good renderings, theatrical, and I used to. I don't read comics as much as I used to. I forgot about the whole faces thing in the top left. Those are really cool. When we finish our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast in 5 years, we might have to get a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tattoo, and that's a good contender.
Yeah, great. I mean, I already have an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tattoo, but I think I could get a second one. I'd be open to that.
We'll see what kind of real estate you have in 5 years.
Yeah, seriously. All right, we can take the poster down. Thank you very much, Maria. All right, we're about to kick Tony out. So before we do that, Caitlin, will you just tell the people where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Caitlin_Tyrrell_. You can find me on Twitter, X, whatever the heck it is, at Caitlin_Tyrrell. I have a blue sky.
A good announcement.
To be honest. And then I've been writing over at Temple of Geek now. If you care about D&D and Critical Role stuff, a lot of fun things with that. Yeah, just random.
Love that. Maria's having fun. I don't know. Okay, Tony, say our thank yous.
Sure. So thank you to Stephanie at Eclectic Muses on socials for doing our artwork. Thank you to Ryan Miera of Yellow Pills at Yellow Pills Music on Instagram for doing our music. And thank you to our producer, Maria. Thank you, producer Maria.
You're welcome. And I'm sorry for my internet issues today.
That's okay.
Oh, we forgive you. And thanks to Caitlin for being our guest again. It's always good to have you.
Always fun.
Just a reminder, follow us at LegoPod on Instagram, Blue Sky, all the places. We will, as soon as I can, announce what time our part 2 episodes on Sunday. Sometimes I don't release it until the information till the day before because I'm not quite sure who the guest is going to be. That's just the way it goes sometimes. But it'll be up. The information will be up Saturday at the latest. Join our Patreon because we're going to have a kick-ass summer. There's so much going on. We're going to finish Firefly. We're going to watch Ant-Man. We're going to start Dollhouse. There's like so much stuff. So it's $1 a month. I don't know. I think that's probably worth it. What other subscriptions $1 a month? Nothing I can think of. Like, subscribe, leave us those 5-star reviews, all the business. If you're watching with Tony and you don't want any spoilers, get the fuck out.
Leave the room. Gotta go.
There he is. There he goes. Okay, I have a really funny story that I have to share. Which is, so last Sunday, I was watching Empire Strikes Back because it was Star Wars Day, and Tony joined me for that one. And he made a joke at the end, because, obviously Luke's hand gets cut off, but then he immediately gets, like, a nice, fancy robot hand. And Tony said something along the lines of, like, that hand loss really mattered. And I started cracking up because we were like a week away from Coulson losing his hand and also getting a robot hand. And I was like, but then we decided not to watch that episode. And we decided to save it. So I was laughing so hard. And Tony's like, what? And I'm like, I can't tell you. Just, you're being annoying. I was like, just trust me. You'll find out soon enough why I'm laughing so hard.
Oh, that's great.
I know, it was killing me. And then, when Mac got the axe today, I was like, fuck yeah, because, like, Mac is always going to be an axe wielder, but Tony has no idea what he's about to do with that axe.
Yeah.
Whew. I'm can't believe that, like, we have one left. I am glad we spread it out, though, just because, just more time to talk about things. Caitlin, any spoiler thoughts that you were thinking of?
No, I like, looking back at it, I just feel so bad for Sky's dad and what happens in the next episode. Like, him finally recognizing, like, your dream is dead. It's been dead for a really long time, and now you gotta choose. And the fact that, like, he has to give up on his dream and kill the woman he loves to save his daughter is just so heart-wrenching and such a tragedy. And I hate the ending of the next one. Isn't the next one where freaking Simmons gets grabbed by the weird thing?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool. I can't wait.
I remember watching that and be like, what?
It's so dope. Like, I'm so excited for Tony to see that moment because, like, the last few episodes, like, what is this big giant rock? And the fact that Tony's not going to get answers on that one until, like, October. So I'll never forget watching that moment for the first time. But I do like that Cal, though, kind of does get a happy ending. He's like, gets his memory erased and gets to go be a vet, which is nice. But it does make me sad that, like, we never see him again. I've always wished that Sky or Daisy would go back and visit him. Caitlin, remind us, because the comments asking, and I can't remember, how much of the show have you seen? Have you seen the whole thing or just up to a point?
I can tell you exactly where I stopped watching. I
Uh,
stopped watching when they went to space and had that
Right.
weird thing where they were like, the world got destroyed by Sky, and then that wasn't
Sure.
true or
Season,
whatever. Like,
yeah.
that's where I
Season
stopped watching because it was them getting grabbed and then being like, "We're in space in the future." I was like, I can't.
Too much. That's fair. A lot of what people were debating comes down to season 5, I feel like, and
Yeah, what was the debate?
Oh, they're debating the Mac and whether or not they like Mac and whether or not they like Mac as the director of Shield, which spoiler alert does happen at the end. I do like Mac. I do. Sometimes though, I agree he can be a frustrating character, but I think he is a good choice to lead. When it all comes down to it.
I think it's frustrating because he actually takes the job seriously. Like, as much as I like Coulson, realistically, he's not actually good at, like, a director shouldn't be like, no, I want to save this person over everything else. Like,
but that's just human. Like, everyone's going to be that way. Like,
100%. But to me, that's why, like, Mac is probably realistically a better choice because he is like, hey, this sucks, but we have to put greater good for real over the situation. It's one of those things where everyone's like, I'm like, greater good first. And you're like, not really. Like, greater good or my mom. I picked my mom. Sorry. Like,
I think Coulson is the best, but by the end he can't because he's the LMD. But I do agree with the frustration that they set up Daisy to be the director for so long, and the fact that it was like, never mind. I get why people are frustrated by that. It does not bother me personally. I think she's good at what she does. Otherwise, but that is a conversation for so many years from now. We are.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we're almost done with year 2. It's crazy. Time is crazy. It's wild. Wow. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for being here. Always a pleasure. I've seen so much of you this week. It's great. And thank you, Maria, as always. And thanks to everyone listening. We had a pop-in chat today. Thank you, guys. It's for a Monday afternoon. I'm really impressed why no one seems to have anywhere to be. I certainly don't. We'll be back next week. S.O.S. Part 2. I can't wait. I cannot wait for Tony to see this episode. It's going to be awesome. Keep an eye out. We really appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Sunday.